Share the screen. All right, good. All right. Yeah. So, how many people got to read this already? How many people took a look at this this reading? All right, just a couple. All right, why don't we read it this week? You don't have a lot of homework this week, so we'll read it this week. I put a new version up there without the question marks and weirdness. So if you look at right here, this last link there, this is on last week's when we didn't have class. So take a look at it. There's no discussion board or anything on it. It's just an interesting reading that's relevant to what we're talking about the next 2 weeks. Well, did everybody have a good week off? Excellent, very good, very good. So, so yeah, I still don't have a lot of things graded. I graded a few, but I'm way behind again. But we'll get everything graded by next week so that you'll see where you're at with the class. Apologies for not giving you much feedback yet, but we've got plenty of time to work out all the details. Yes.
The assignment were we supposed to turn in the assignment for this week? The lesson plans.
The lesson plan is due at the end of the semester, as are all your makeup and re-edited assignments, and that deadline is May the 12th. That's when everything is going to be due. Yes.
Where's the assignment that doesn't have the question mark?
The reading is on the last week's.
April
That last
22nd.
link right there, where it says "Effort: A Vision for the New Millennium."
Yeah, it still has. Oh, just kidding. Okay.
Okay. Hopefully it's all fixed up. All right, so we'll take a look at that for next week. Anyway, so essentially we've got these next 2 weeks, and I kind of carved out this time in the curriculum because I really want to work on this idea of coding and developing our computational literacy. That's going to be the term that we're talking about, computational thinking. So a lot of the stuff that we've done this semester, right? We've looked at different programs that we can use for education. We've looked at things like concept maps, PowerPoint, movies, all kinds of things like that. And those are ways to sort of generate content. We can make web pages. We can do all sorts of things. And that's a certain level of technological sophistication, right? But then there's this other level, which is the level where you're actually creating your own things on the computer, giving the instructions to the computer on what to do. That's I put that as this level 5 here. I don't remember where I got these levels from. Somebody had this. So the simple using the computer and then being able to create things on the computer and then customizing your computer. There was a study on the radio the other day that they were, these people that do like hiring, right? These companies that are like headhunters and they do interviews and hiring, and they were looking for things that correlated with long-term effective employees. What do you think? One of the really effective things they found was which browser you use, right? And they said that if you used Explorer or if you used Safari, it was bad. And if you use Chrome or Firefox, that was really good. And they had no idea why. I know why, right? Because Chrome and Firefox do not come on your computer. You have to install them yourself, right? So people are taking the time to install their own software on their computer. They're customizing their computer. They're sort of taking charge of that device, right? So they're a little more sophisticated, thing like that. So if you go to an in-job interview, right, and they say, "What kind of browser do you use?" What do you tell them?
Chrome.
Don't say Explorer. So that was kind of interesting. So that's one level of sort of technological fluency and being able to interact with computers and do things you want. But that last level there, that's the computer programmers. What's our stereotype of computer programmers? Who are they? They're geeks. They're nerds. What do they look like? Yeah, pocket protectors, right? Right. Does anybody watch Silicon Valley? It's a show on HBO, I think. I don't know. I've only seen one episode, but they're pretty good Uber geeks on that show.
The guys
When I
from
can tell.
Revenge of the Nerds.
Revenge of the Nerds. Yeah, totally. right? So that's our impression of what programmers are. So let's see, how many people are familiar with something called the Week of Code? Yeah, or what's it called? It's not called the Week of Code. What am I trying to say?
Hour of code?
Hour of Code. Yeah, exactly. It's Hour of Code. The Hour of Code. There's actually a week where everybody's supposed to do an hour of code. And there's a lot of organizations that have been talking about it. So I'm going to play one of their movies here.
The president and the vice president.
Yeah, they did it. They did their hour. Yeah, they got lots of people. Let's see. I like their old video. Where's the old video?
I'd like to see the VP's hour of coding.
Yeah.
The
Let's
vice
see.
president. It's pretty fun.
All right, we'll try it. Okay, yeah, this is a good one. All right, so this is the video that the Hour of Code people put together to try and break some stereotypes of coding and coders. Let's see. Let's see if I can turn the lights down here for a second. Turn the sound up.
I was 13 when I first got access to a computer.
My parents bought me a Macintosh in 1984 when I was 8 years old. I was in 6th grade.
I learned to code in college, freshman year, first semester, intro to computer science.
I wrote a program to play tic-tac-toe.
I think it was pretty humble beginnings. I think the first program I wrote asked things like, what's your favorite color? Or how old are you?
I first learned how to make a circle and a red square appear on the screen.
The first time I actually had something come up and say, hello world, and I made a computer do that. It was just astonishing.
Learning how to program didn't start off as wanting to learn all of computer science or trying to master this discipline or anything like that. It just started off because I wanted to do this one simple thing. I wanted to make something that was fun for myself and my sisters. And I wrote this little program and then basically just add a little bit to it. And then when I needed to learn something new, I looked it up either in a book or on the internet and then added a little bit to it.
It's really not unlike kind of playing an instrument or something or playing a sport. It starts out being very intimidating, but you kind of get the hang of it over time.
Coding is something that can be learned. And I know it can be intimidating. A lot of things are intimidating, but what isn't?
A lot of the coding that people do is actually fairly simple. It's more about the process of breaking down problems than sort of coming up with complicated algorithms as people traditionally think about it.
You don't have to be a genius to know how to code. You need to be determined.
Addition, subtraction, that's about it.
You should probably know your multiplication tables.
You don't have to be a genius to code. You have to be a genius to read.
Either become a race car driver or play baseball or build a house. And all of these things have been turned upside down by software.
What it is computers are everywhere. You want to work in agriculture? Do you want to work in entertainment? Do you want to work in manufacturing? It's just all over.
Here we are, 2013. We all depend on technology to communicate, to bank, information, and none of us know how to read and write code.
When I was in school, I was in this after-school group called the Whiz Kids, and when people found out, they laughed at me and all these things. And I'm like, man, I don't care. I think it's cool, and I'm learning a lot, and some of my friends have jobs.
Our policy is literally to hire as many talented engineers as we can find. The whole limit in the system is just that there just aren't enough people who are trained and have these skills today.
To get the very best people, we try to make the office as awesome as possible.
You have a fantastic chef. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Free laundry,
snacks. even places to play and video games and scooters. There's all these kind of interesting things around the office and places where people can play or relax or go to think or play music or be creative.
Whether you're trying to make a lot of money or whether you just want to change the world, computer programming is an incredibly empowering skill to learn.
I think if someone had told me that software is really about humanity, that it's really about helping people by using computer technology, it would have changed my outlook a lot earlier.
To be able to actually come up with an idea and then see it in your hands and then be able to press a button and have it be in millions of people's hands. I mean, I think we're the first generation experience.
Just to think that you can start something in your college dorm room and you can have a set of people who haven't built a big company before come together and build something that 1 billion people use as part of their daily lives is just crazy to think about, right? It's humbling and it's amazing.
The programmers of tomorrow are the wizards of the future. You know, you're going to look like you have magic powers compared to everybody else.
It's amazing. I think it's the closest thing we have to a superpower.
Great coders are today's rock stars. That's it.
All right. What do you think? Let's wait. Could we get the lights back on? So the idea. So that's their little pitch for why you should care about coding. What did you think? You think you should have learned coding when you were younger?
I'm in the wrong field.
Yeah, those look like fun places to work, right? So where are all those places? There's a lot of them up in Palo Alto, and who's online? Cool. Hey, David. Can you hear us? All right. David's coughing. Cool. Cool. All right. So a lot of them are up in Silicon Valley. A lot of them nowadays are in LA. Right, I think one of those shots was the rooftop at EA Electronic Arts, which is down in where is it down in what's that? Playa Vista down there.
Another place is Denver.
Denver's got a bunch of them. Yeah, Venice has become like this little, what they call it, Silicon Beach now. So because all the tech companies are moving up, there's a big Google office there. And things like that. So so this stuff is all around us, and we've got to know about it. Are we going to become coders and get hired by Google? No, we're a little old for that, maybe. I don't know. Well, maybe. It's possible. I get the impression that everybody who works there is like 23. I don't know. I feel like I missed the boat. What was that?
There you go. Internship.
Oh yeah, the movie The Internship.
It can happen.
My friend almost got an internship there. 1 out of 2 people asked him.
So there's that, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't bother, right? So one of the things that they tried to make a case for and didn't make a great case, I don't think, is that coding is sort of the language of computers, and that if you understand sort of the basics of coding, you can understand how computers work, and then your ATM machine makes a little more sense. Like when it does something that normally you think is weird, if you know how coding works, you're like, oh yeah, I can see why that would make that mistake, right? Or you can understand sort of the weird ways that computers behave sometimes because you know a little bit about how they work. That's sort of the principle. And then of course we want to introduce this stuff to our students. When do students learn how to program? What class do they learn that in?
I learned HTML in 8th grade computer class.
You had a computer class in 8th grade?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that's some places have it. A lot of places don't have it. The reason that people don't have a lot of computer classes is because we don't kind of know what to do with computer programming. It doesn't fit into our school structure, right? We have English classes and social studies and science and math and PE. Where are we going to add another one for computers? I mean, how does it fit in there? It doesn't fit into any of those things. And so it's kind of this sort of orphaned subject. If you take a computer science class, even if you take AP computer science, which is like the most advanced thing you can do in high school, it doesn't count for UC admission except as a G requirement. Are you guys all familiar with the A to G requirements? So you got your A to G requirements, and G is basically other, right? So your computer science counts as other. And you'll need like one other class to qualify for UC. So you probably already got it covered anyway. So it really doesn't count. In fact, up until like last year, it didn't count as an academic course. If you were playing on the football team and you needed to keep your GPA up, your computer science class wouldn't count because it just didn't fit. It doesn't fit into our normal high school, middle school things. So they're trying to change that. Last year, they passed a law that said the UC was supposed to change the status of computer science in its requirements. And so, of course, they formed a committee and they're thinking about it. So we'll see. We don't have a teaching credential in computers. You can get anybody who's getting a math credential, like David, will be qualified to teach computers just because they have a math credential. Does that mean you're actually qualified?
Yes.
No, it's actually a different subject. But since we don't have a computer credential, we just say, oh, let the math people do it. Also, if you get a business credential, is anybody getting a business credential? I don't think anybody here is. Any other credential, you can teach computer classes if you get a special authorization. There's something called the authorization in computers. It requires 10 units of graduate level computer classes. And that doesn't mean programming. That can be like classes like this one. So this class will actually count towards that 10 units. So you've got 3 of your units done. So anyway, so if you're interested in computer classes, you can go back and you can get that authorization. And so a lot of people in our master's program, well, they can apply for the authorization about halfway through because they've got their 10 units. But that's the way that you can learn to teach computer science classes around here. We don't have any courses on how to teach it, right? I don't know if any universities do. Maybe Georgia Tech. They're about the leader in computer science education. But
when we get educational technology MA, does it qualify us to get credentials and teaching?
If you already have a credential in something else, you can get the supplemental based on those units. Yeah, but by itself, it doesn't give you a credential. Yeah. So it's this kind of weird, forgotten subject. But the nice thing about computer science is it can apply to any subject. You can do computer science in any subject, and that's one of the things that we're going to do in this assignment. So what we're going to do is we're going to learn how to program a really basic program. And which is nice because computer programming is a lot easier than it used to be. In the old days, you had to learn all these commands and you had to type things. And if you mistyped something, then your computer would freeze and start smoking and all kinds of bad things would happen. Nowadays, it's a lot easier, as you're going to see. So we're going to go to learn how to do this. We're going to go to a site called Scratch. Do I even have a link for Scratch? Oh, yeah, I do. It's right there next to this cat. This is the Scratch mascot. And so if you click on that link right next to it, it's scratch.mit.edu. It's this one right here. And this is there's a lot of ways to learn how to program now. They seem to come up with new programs every 6 months. And there's a bunch of new ones on the iPad that I haven't checked out yet. But the Scratch website has been around since about 2008, so it's been going for a while. Does anybody remember something called Logo? Yeah, there was a programming language in like the 70s and 80s and maybe a little bit in the 90s called Logo. You had this thing. It was like a triangle, but they called it a turtle. And the later models, it actually looked like a turtle. And you would give it instructions, like you would say, go forward, turn left, and you could draw things on it, so you could create shapes and objects. It was kind of a fun thing. Logo was created by this guy Seymour Papert. He's the one who did that reading that we were talking about with all the question marks. And he did it back in the 60s. And he had this idea that everybody would have computers on their desk in school because computers would be really useful. It's taking a little while. What is it now, 50 years later? So it's taking a little while for his vision to come through, but slowly and surely we're getting there. But anyway, Scratch was created so he was an MIT professor. Scratch was created by some of his grad students and people that followed after him at MIT. Everybody knows what MIT is, right? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, so Scratch is designed to be a really easy programming language for kids, and probably like 10 years old is right around the perfect age for this. Maybe like 8 to 13 or something. And a couple of things. So first of all, you see the nice fun graphics on there, and you see this number here. So when I teach a lot of Scratch classes, so I always ask students, can you read that number? Right, 'cause it's a really big number. And then some kid can always figure out how to read it. 9 million games on the Scratch website. I think it's the most games on any website in the world, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But anyway, the number goes up every day. And so you'll see next time you log in that number will have changed. In fact, they just went over 9 million about a week ago. And now they're already at 9,000,001. So it's cool. So first thing you want to do is join up with Scratch. If you don't have an account yet, you got to go ahead and click the Join Scratch button. It's a pretty standard website sign-on thing. It has an interesting gender question. Very forward thinking, I think. But go ahead and give it a thing. It is going to ask you for an email, but they will not spam you very much. They're very nice people over there at MIT. Hey, David, how you doing?
I'm sick.
All right, cool. You definitely sound sick. All right, you can hear everything okay?
Yeah.
All right, cool. I'm going to turn the sound off there so you don't cough on us.
Okay.
No, I didn't let him respond. Too late. All right, cool. So it does send, there's a little message pops up in orange saying that it's sending something to your email that you have to click on. You don't actually have to click on that unless you want to share your work. But you will eventually need to share your work. So eventually you want to click on that. But you don't have to today, though. All right. So one of the fun things you can do in Scratch, because there are 9 million games on the site, that means that pretty much anything that you can imagine, somebody has already made a game about it, right? So give me some random thing that you like to do that's not having anything to do with computers.
Come up with recipes.
Recipes. All right. So like cooking. So I'm going to put into the little search up here, recipes. We'll see what they come up with. So it's searching the 9 million. By the way, there's much more than 9 million on the Scratch website. 9 million have been shared, so they're public. All right, let's see. Crafting recipes. That's a Minecraft thing. People know Minecraft? All the kids are into Minecraft. It's crazy out there. So there's a bunch of versions of Minecraft that have been created on Scratch. All right, I'm gonna look up cooking because recipes is only giving me Minecraft stuff. All right, there's a cooking game on Scratch. Let's take a look at the cooking game. You can look at any game you want, any game at all. When you look at a game, you get a page that looks like this. You see the game shows up in this little box here, and then there's some information about how to play right here, some credits about the game. It looks a little bit like a Facebook page, right? I can like this game, or I can love it, or I can save it, or I can put a comment on it. So there's all kinds of sort of social networking tools in here. So the way that you play your game is you just go ahead and click on the green flag. All right, what is this one doing? I didn't read the instructions. Oh, that's easy. There's a start button. Add me to the water. All right, so I think I'm going to grab this thing and put it in the water. Oh, I have to slice it. This is my cooking game. So somebody has created a cooking game on this, and we get to go through all the steps of cooking something. I don't know what we're making. Cool. And so you notice the kind of things. There's got like this sort of homemade graphics that they've created. There's little word bubbles popping up. Anyway, so you can see kind of a little bit about how the game is built. It looks very homemade, right? And it is. It's made by who? I don't. It's made. This one was made by someone called Darkia World. And so if you like this, you can look at their other creations. And oh, I got to put the tea bag into the teacup. Cool. One of the things you'll notice down here, does everybody have on their screen a tree down at the bottom? What number does it say on your tree?
17.
414? Anybody higher than 414?
I'm 23.
22. That's when it was 23. What this is called the remix tree. Every time somebody builds something in Scratch and shares it, other people can then take that thing and modify it and make their own version of it. And so they have this tree of all the programs and where they came from, like who started it and who, you know, in school we often call that copying, right? We say it's a bad thing, but in Scratch we call it remixing, and it's a good thing, right? Because you can build on what other people have done. You don't have to invent things from scratch, and that's an intentional. Oh, my tree never showed up. Here it is. Here's what one of the trees looks like. So you can see it started with this one game and then it got copied. Some people just made a copy and didn't do any changes. Some people made changes on it. Other people did different things. And then there's probably some place that it came from. No, this was an original project by that person. All right, cool. Anyway, so you can see a little bit about the game. All right, so the most important thing about Scratch, of course, is that we can find out how this game works, right? So somebody has built it. We want to know how it works. There's a button right up there in the corner. It says See Inside. Right? Does everybody see that See Inside button? So just go ahead and click on See Inside, and you can actually see the sort of insides of your game. Right? How this game was built. So some games are very complicated, other ones are very simple. Right?
Where's the C inside button?
Upper right-hand corner.
Oh, go back. Yeah, you were right there. Yeah, right there. Cool. All right, so there's a couple of things to notice about this. So this is actually the page where you can build stuff in Scratch. So the first thing to notice, oh, I'm gonna do my little laser. Is this area right here in the left corner? These are all the things we call sprites. Everything on your screen is a sprite, whether it's a person or a button or a ball or something like that. That's going to be a sprite. Right, so they've got all these little graphics here that they've made, and each sprite, if you click on different sprites, you notice each sprite has different things in it. This stuff over here is called the scripts. These things are blocks, and you make stacks of blocks, and each stack of blocks is called a script. In the old days, we would have called that a computer program, right? So, but that's how we're going to be building our scripts. But in addition to scripts, each sprite also has costumes. Right, so sometimes your sprite will just have one costume, like this one. Sometimes, let's see. Oh, right, here the fish has two possible costumes. On this one, a lot of them just have one. Okay, there's two bowls, so that you can change the. So each sprite can look like different things. So it's going to have costumes, right? And you'll notice this area over here. This is a little drawing program, right? This looks like GIMP. A little bit. You've got your paint bucket tool, your letter tool, you got a paintbrush up there. You can just go ahead and start drawing on stuff. In fact, I can draw a little happy face right here. All right, and I've changed that sprite. Now it's not going to record my change because this is somebody else's program, but I can play with it for now, and then I can see my handiwork. On the game. So I can play with my game. It won't save it unless I want to do a remix, and then it will save it into my account. I can't change things in somebody else's account. Anyway, and the other thing, of course, every sprite can have is sounds. And so this one's got a sound. Oh. Let's try that. Ooh, that sounded awful. All right. Don't do that. All right. Anyway, there's lots of sounds. All right. So those are the basic parts of Scratch. Oh, the other part is the stage. forgot about the stage. Always forgetting the stage. The stage is right next to the sprites on the very far left side of your screen, and that's where the background is, right? So your backgrounds are all in the stage area. So you get this, you get kind of the analogy here. We've got a stage, and we've got sprites that are like our actors on the stage, that kind of thing. And they're wearing costumes. Anyway, all right. So should we learn how to do some of this? Excellent. Yes.
My Flash player is asking me for
Oh, it wants to update something?
would that let me do anything?
Sometimes when we do that, switching browsers is the best thing to do. Yeah, you just want to give you a lot. Well, if it doesn't work, just try. All right. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a new project. So we're gonna leave whichever project we're looking at now, and we want to create a new one. The way that we can do that is we can just go to the File menu and say New, or if you don't see the File menu, maybe see the Create button. That will do the same thing. All right. So this, I think almost everybody's there. So this is your basic brand new Scratch program, or actually they call it projects. It's a Scratch project. I don't know. Anyway, the first thing we should do is give it a name. So it comes up as untitled. There's a little name thing right here. Let's call this one Catwalking, because we're going to make the catwalk. All right. Does everybody see where that name change happens? Okay, so what's the cat's name? You can see the cat. What's it called?
Sprite.
Sprite. More specific? Sprite 1. Yes, right here. If you go down here, you can see there's Sprite 1. So it comes with one sprite as the thing. How many costumes does this sprite have?
2.
Let's find out. How can we find out what costumes it has? We go to the tab for costumes right up here in the middle. Click on costumes, and yes, there are 2 costumes there. All right. And if I switch the 2 costumes, what does it look like? It looks like it's walking. All right, so cool. We're done? We made the catwalk? No, that's not right. Why? What's wrong with that? Because I don't want to have to sit there and click on it. That sounds lame, right? I'm really lazy. I need the computer to do this for me, right? That's the whole point. We need computers to do things for us. All right, so we want to make this cat walk, and we think that one way we could do that is by changing its costume. All right, so what do you think we're going to do that?
Make possibly different layers, and like one will go away, and then one will appear. And then
Layers, all right, thinking back to GIMP and stuff. Yeah, it's not quite that sophisticated a program, but changing costumes will do just exactly what you're saying, I don't think. Oh, I should have showed you the sounds, right? So there's a cat sound. Comes with a cat sound also. The sounds is a good way to start. I like, when I teach this with kids, I always start with the sounds, because sounds are, first of all, really fun. You can also, there's a library of sounds. Do you see this? Do you see the, what's it called? The speaker right here? If you click on that, you get a library of sounds. And so you can find a different sound that you might want. So, hey. Is that a sound effect, or is that David?
David.
All right, if you find the sound you like, you can click on it and click the OK button, or you can double click it. I think that works too. Cool. And this, of course, is fun if you get a room full of kids all playing different sounds. And then you have to make everyone be quiet so you can talk again. You get it out first, right? Get everybody play us out. Everybody play us out. All right, now so. There's some cool things on here, like this meow. If you highlight the meow and go to the effects and say reverse, you can hear a cat in reverse. You can also copy and paste different parts of the sound. So if you wanted to cat rap, you can copy it. So then you could say something like that. Anyway, the sound effects alone are fun for playing for a long time, but we're not going to do too much of that. Now you know where it is. Oh, well, there's one more thing about sounds. There's also a microphone. So if you don't like any of the sounds that are there, you can click the microphone and you have to say allow, because remember this is working in your browser. So you have to give it permission to use your microphone. And then I'm recording my voice and I press the red button to stop and I have a new sound. And then I'm recording my voice and I press the red. Yeah. Okay, so you can imagine all kinds of fun that you can have with that. You can record your voice and then make your voice reverse. Put secret messages backward. Okay, but this is not getting us closer to making the catwalk. Right? This was a fun little diversion. Let's go back to, we saw the costumes. We know that we have 2 costumes and we want to make the cat walk back and forth, right? But the way that we're going to do that is with the, what have we not looked at yet? Scripts. Exactly. You can do it. All right, so now we move over to the scripts. The scripts, of course, is the one thing that makes Scratch different from all those programs. I mean, there's a lot of cool features to Scratch, but the scripting is, of course, the core of it because we want to be able to make the computer do what we tell it. We want to give it instructions. And as I mentioned before, the way that this works is you take a block and you drag it from here. This is our block library, and you drag it over to this white space. This is our scripting area right here. And so I've dragged this block here, and if I double click it, you can see just like that. He moves 10 steps. What do you think steps are?
Pixel, X, Y.
Yeah, they're basically pixels. They're basically little tiny measurements of distance on the screen. They call them steps. That seems fine. But now all the blue things here, does everybody see these blue ones? These are the motion blocks, right? So all the blocks are color coded by what kind of thing they do. We also have looks. Looks are things like you can say something. Like if I wanted to say hello, I could double click on this and it would say hello, right? That used to, in the old days of programming, that would take you like 2 hours to get to something to say hello. Nowadays, it's nice and easy. You just double click something. All right, we can also switch costumes, right? So I can switch costumes with some of the looks. Are we going to need that for our catwalking?
Yes.
Absolutely. There's actually 2 costume ones, and I'm going to just give you a little hint and say the next costume is much more useful because next costume will just switch to the next costume. And if it's at the last costume, it goes back to the first costume. And so if we can use the same command, we don't have to figure out which costume we're on and then switch to the other one. That just gets annoying. Anyway, so next costume is very handy. So I'm going to drag that one over. Notice there's also a lot of blocks for sounds if you want to play sounds. They also have drums and instruments if you want to compose your own music. You can compose it with the blocks and change your volume and tempo and things like that. There's a bunch of blocks for pen. Pen allows you to draw things on the screen. So if you want to draw a square on the screen, you can figure out, how do I have to draw a square? What does the square mean? The data, we'll use the data later. That allows us to make our own variables, figure out what variables are. The next category is this one at the top of the second column is called events. And you notice these blocks have a different shape, right? They start with this rounded top, and the rounded top is there because these blocks do not allow anything on top of them. They're the beginning of scripts, right? And so your script is always going to begin with some kind of an event. The computer needs to know when to run your script, right? So we can say, when this green flag is clicked, switch to the next column. And did you see how it kind of attaches? The blocks will attach to the stacks, kind of like they're Legos or something like that. Yeah.
Can you make the repeat, like have multiple things inside of it?
Yeah, we'll get there. We're going to do exactly that. All right, so let's just test this out. If I press the green flag, oh yeah, it changes costume, just like we want it to. Cool. And if we wanted to, we can make it moves 10 steps. That'd be kind of fun. Then it looks like it's walking. So again, this is good, but I don't want to have to keep clicking that. right? So we need something, like Tyler says, we need something to allow this to repeat and do it more than once, right? That is going to be located under control. The very next category there, these are kind of the yellowish blocks, and you notice that those have even weirder shapes. The control blocks are really the sort of core of the logic. Between the control and the operators is really where the logic is. We grab this one here that says repeat. That looks pretty good, right? And you'll notice a couple things about repeat. One, it has the repeat 10, right? What do you think that means? 10 times, exactly. If we didn't want 10 times, we could change that number and type 100 or 1,000. Kids always just type 1 with a gazillion. Want to see what happens, and nothing happens. It just keeps going a long time. And the way that repeat works is it's shaped like a C, right? Like a C. Everything inside of it will repeat 10 times or 100 times or whatever you want. So we can take our next costume and our move 10 steps and put that right inside our repeat, and we can attach that right there. And what do you think is going to happen?
Run.
You should run, right? Let's try it.
He's freaking out.
All right, look at that. There he goes. And he gets stuck on the edge. If you want, you can just drag him back, drag him by his tail. Let's try that again. Woo! Does that look like walking to you?
No.
Kind of walking. It's not really what. It's more running, right? All right. How can we make this look like it's walking?
You control the speed.
We need to slow it down.
Put a weight in there.
Weight, yes, you have seen the weight block. So a big part of the game of doing Scratch is to say, I know what I want it to do. I need to find a block that will help me do it, right? So you think, okay, I need it to slow down. And so Tyler says there's a weight block. Where should we put this? This is part of the logic of computers. Where do we put this weight block to slow it down? Do we put it at the beginning? No, because then it would wait and then it would start running, right? We need it to wait, what? Yeah, after it moves, every time it does that repeat, right? So it has to be inside the repeat. If it was outside the repeat, it wouldn't do us any good. It's got to be inside to make it wait. All right, how does that look? This is the slow motion cat, right? Kids like it when I do my slow motion cat. All right, tough crowd. Yeah, so that's not so great. That's a little too slow motion, right? Any ideas?
0.5.
Oh, 0.5. You guys know about decimal numbers. Absolutely, yes. We can go in here. We're not limited to whole numbers, so we can put in point something. So find a good thing that you like.
0.4.
All right, cool. I did 0.1. That's a brisk walk. Something like that. All right. So we're pretty much done with the catwalking here. I'm gonna make him say meow, right? All right. We should also send this cat to walk on someplace. You know, the white background is kind of boring. Let's get a background here. Go ahead and click on the stage. Somebody put the play meow sound in the repeat. I can tell that's happening right there. All right, and that is exactly what will happen if you repeat the play sound. If you click down here at the stage, that will allow you to change. Notice when you click on the stage, it changes it from costumes. It now says backdrops, right? Because the stage is only allowed to have costumes. By the way, if you're on the stage and you click motion, oh, you don't get any blocks because stage can't move, right? So there's no motion, obviously, for that. All right, so anyway, for backdrops, right now we have this boring white backdrop. How do you think we can get a different backdrop?
Draw it.
Right, remember these icons up here?
Library.
Right, so there's a library. I can paint my backdrop. I can upload a picture, right? If I've got a picture I took on my my vacation, I want to use that as my backdrop. I just upload it. Or maybe I want to use the camera. Cool, there's my backdrop. All right, now I'm in my game. All right, that's not a great backdrop. The better backdrops are in the library here. So you can go into the library and they've got some nice backdrops. Let's see. Who went to school at Berkeley? Somebody was from Berkeley. No one in Berkeley in this class. All right. The Berkeley mural is there, which people might recognize. This is actually if you go to this one, it's the dorms at MIT. They're very weird. All right. Or I don't know. What do you think? The moon? Walk on the moon? Moonwalking? You like the beach? That's good. Beach is good. Cool. The forest. Sure. All right. So does your cat walk? What do we have to do to make it start?
Click the flag.
Green flag. Yeah, exactly. So now the cat can walk across the moon. Very nice. Cool. What do you think? Is this hard to do? It isn't. Right? If I wasn't telling you what to do, you might have got stuck. Bless you. It's a little tricky. The idea of knowing where to put the repeat loop and where to put things in the loop, and that you need to have the green flag to start things. These are all pieces of what we call computational thinking. And that's a term that started kind of coming up about 5 years ago. It's something people had talked about before. We didn't have a good term for it. So somebody invented this term. But it's kind of interesting. We'll look at some examples next week of different ways people do computational thinking that do not involve computers. Right? Well, I'll give you one, because this is something that I always fight with at our house. When you load the dishwasher at your house, how do you load it? Do you just throw the dishes in anywhere?
I wash my hands.
How do you do it? You stack them? How do you stack them?
Actually, I was discussing.
You've got a system. All right, tell us your system.
Well, you go with the plates or whatever it is on the sink first.
Uh-huh.
I usually start with the smaller items that are on top. And
Okay.
You sort of.
Oh, so the order of which you grab things and put them in? Does it matter where you put them?
Yeah, it does. I mean, you do lower deck, upper deck, but I usually go with
Yeah, you can be efficient if your bowls are stacked, right?
Yeah.
I also like to put things that go in the same drawer. I like to put them next to each other so I can just grab them all. That is an example of what we call computational thinking. We're anticipating future behaviors and planning to make things more efficient. That's computational. We do that stuff all the time. It's nothing new. We just have a new term for it, right? And that's the sort of thing you need to program computers. All right. Let's see. I was going to do one more thing with you. So ultimately, what I want you to do is I want you to take Scratch, and I want you to tell a story, right? So you would need, what would you need to tell a story?
pictures and text.
Jack and the Beanstalk. What would we need?
What would you use for the story?
You'd need a character for Jack, right? You'd need some beanstalk. You might need a couple of different scenes, like the top of the beanstalk, where they're like clouds or something.
And the giant.
Right, and then you might need the farm and a little bean to throw into the thing. Yeah, so there's you can imagine what that's going to look like in some of the pieces that you would need to tell a story like that. Just like we've been describing, if you wanted to tell a story like that, you'd need some sprites, and so you might. The sprites are just like the costumes. Remember, we went to the library, all that stuff. There's a library of sprites here. And so you can see different things. You can see, okay, do I have a good track here to tell my story with? All right. So what I did here is down here where it says new sprite. And again, those same icons are there. I can draw a sprite. I can upload a picture for a sprite, or I can take a picture with the camera. All right. You like Boy 4?
Boy 4.
Boy 4. Okay, that could be a good Jack. Yeah, absolutely. And maybe the cat will be the giant. If I want to make the cat really big, I can click up at the top of the screen. There's these little icons, and one of them is the grow icon, so I can grow my cat really big. Fee, fi, fo, fum. All right, good. So maybe I want Jack to be a little smaller, something like that. And so I've got a couple of sprites there. I'm gonna have to figure out how the sprites are going to talk to each other, right? So let's try this thing, just to get us kind of warmed up to how to tell stories on Scratch. Yeah?
How do you start something over, like if you made your sprite walk off the screen?
Oh, if your sprite walks off the screen, it's just stuck on the edge somewhere, is just so that you can't see it.
Oh, I see.
Here's a little trick. Under motion, there's this motion block here that says go to, and it gets an X and Y value. Oh, we haven't talked about the X and Y value. Everything on the screen has a location, an X and Y location. If you move your cursor over it, there's these little numbers that tell you where your cursor is, where the arrow is. Right, so you can see where all the locations are. Where is 0, 0? Yeah. Yeah, it's right about in the center. If you can move your arrow right to the middle, you can try to get it to 0, 0. All right. That's about as close as I can get. -1, 1. So yeah, so everything on the screen has a location, right? So if your sprite is stuck, you can get this little block here that says go to. Just put 0, 0 into it, and that will make your sprite from wherever it is go to the middle. Right? So if your sprite gets stuck on the edge someplace, that's a good trick for getting it back, because it's not really gone. If you do want to keep your cat walking and you want to work on some other sprite, all you have to do is go to the File menu and say File New, and you get a whole blank scratch like that. Cool. So okay, so let's see. Where was I? I was gonna try and do Jack and the Beanstalk. So I had a giant cat here. Okay. Oh. So let's do this little experiment here. You just make sure you have at least 2 sprites on your screen. You can keep your cat walking, that's fine. The cat can be one of the 2 sprites. So we need a second sprite, so go to the new sprite library and find another sprite here. Okay, I'm gonna try this bear. All right, maybe I'll get a stage while I'm at it. I'll get a backdrop. Castle, sure. We like castles. All right, so now I've got my cat and my bear sitting there. All right, what I would like you to do with your 2 sprites is I would like you to have your 2 sprites tell knock-knock jokes. Or a knock-knock joke. How's that? All right. Oh, good question. If you want to delete a sprite, there's actually a couple ways to do it. You can right-click on it, or you can grab this icon at the top, which is a scissors, and that will delete your sprite if you've got an extra one that you don't want. So if I have an extra ball sprite here, and I say I don't want it, I just grab the scissors and click on it. Sprite no more. There is an undo button if you do something by mistake. You can go to the edit menu and say undelete, and that will do that. It's not one of these great undos that lets you go back 5 steps. You can only undo the last thing you did. That. Okay, so we want to tell a knock-knock joke here. And there's a couple of things for telling knock-knock jokes. What's the first thing? Somebody says knock-knock. Absolutely. So let's see. So decide which character is going to say knock-knock. Right? And so in order to decide, so if I want my cat to say knock-knock, I have to click down here to make sure my cat is selected. All right? So my cat is here, and I'm going to grab to start anything, I have to start a script, right? So I'm going to start with an event, and so I'm going to start with that green flag again. The green flag is always a good thing to start a scratch with. It's kind of a standard thing. But you could start it with clicking on the sprite, or you could start it with pressing the space bar. Any of those things will work. So I started with a whole new scratch. If you've got some script and you don't want it anymore, you can just drag it to the middle and it will disappear. All your blocks disappear when you drag it to the middle. Okay, so I'm going to tell knock knock. So the first thing I have to do is say knock knock, right? The say command is under looks, and I like to use the one that says say for 2 seconds because it won't stay on the screen too much. So I grab this one that says say hello for 2 seconds, but I'm going to, instead of hello, I want that to say knock. Okay. Now I've got saying knock knock. Let's try it. Go ahead and click on the green flag. Make sure this is working okay. Okay, very good. I'm underway. Is everybody good? Got some knock knock?
You just cannot go.
Yeah. This part. It was under looks. There you go. All right, well, you can always Google it, Joe. Yeah. Ricardo, you know any good knock jokes?
Yeah.
Yeah. You never remember this. So this is the costumes. Right, so you want to get this. Oh, okay. So you and then we'll give you a sign. What are we doing here? All right. So after you say knock knock, the other sprite needs to respond, right? What does the other sprite say? Who's there? All right, but the question is, when does that other sprite say who's there? How does it know to say who's there?
After 2 seconds.
You could wait for 2 seconds, right? We could do that. That would work fine. There's a second way that we can do that, which is we can send a message from one sprite to the other sprite, saying basically, "Hey, it's your turn." It's like a cue in, what's your cue in the theater, right? The way that we can do that is something called broadcast, right? So I'm going to the events. Everybody see the events blocks up there? That's the one with the green flag. And down at the bottom, they have a couple of broadcast blocks. So I'm going to say broadcast here. And the broadcast command, basically, it doesn't care what you say, right? It's up to you, whatever you say. So it comes up with something called message 1. I like to just give it something that's a little bit more meaningful. So I'm just going to say knock knock. Right? So I'm going to broadcast this message. Now, broadcast does not actually do anything. It doesn't really broadcast on the screen. You won't see knock knock. Well, you'll see it because it says it. But you won't see that broadcast command there because it's an internal communication between sprites. So now if we go to your second sprite and you grab the event that says when I receive knock knock, now that sprite can do something because it's got this message that says, oh, something happened. So now what should that sprite do? It should say who's there. Exactly. Right? So now I'm going to say who's there? Question mark. Okay. And now it's the time for this first sprite to go again. Right? So what should I do? I can broadcast another message. Now, it might have been simpler to do this just with timing. I could have done this with 2 seconds and done a wait for 2 seconds and do that. That's probably just as good. The nice thing about this is if I ever change my mind and want to do something different, it'll still work because I'm using the broadcast. So I need to make sure I choose a different message this time. I'll just write who. I don't have to write who's there. I know what that means. All right. And then, of course, what does the cat need to do? It needs to then receive that. So you can see we're going to get a lot of little tiny scripts here. And we're going to do all right. And if it seems a little redundant to have to drag these same blocks all over the time, don't worry, there's a little shortcut. All right, so now if I go back to the bear. So I want to basically repeat this same thing except with a different message, right? So what I can do is I can do a right click on it and say duplicate. All right, and now I'm going to change it to all right, so now I've got my question. And it doesn't really matter what you type for your broadcast message, so long as you know what it is so you can receive it at the appropriate time. And I'm going to duplicate this one as well. Let's see. Can I make it larger? I think I can. Yeah. How's that? Cool. All right. I need a sound here. No. No, I just need a simple drum. There we go. All right. All right, let me see if my game works right. If you've got your game done, there's this little button in the corner. You can play it in full screen. Let me see if this works. Who's there? Orange. Orange who? Orange you gonna be in? Oh, that rim shot didn't work quite right. All right.
I mean, he's broadcasting the first one, so like, when I have this one.
Oh, it did it all together. Oh, I know what I had to do.
Right.
I did the wrong play button.
It doesn't even broadcast anything.
So like blocks. You can tell them to actually say it.
I don't know if it broadcasts.
So no.
Kind of.
Broadcast will make it.
That's not a very good rim shot.
And broadcast. They're like a say.
All right. All right, so you get the idea of how that broadcast command works? So basically that can allow you to control when sprites do things on the screen using that broadcast command. What if I wanted to say the end at the end? How would I do that?
Yeah, no one say hello. Okay.
How does your knock knock work? How many people have a working knock knock joke? All right, well, I'll come around and help.
Wait, what? How many people what? Wait.
Have a working knock knock joke
Oh.
that tells the whole joke.
Oh.
You guys want to see the other script, the other side of the
How
script?
did you get it to like 6 seconds? Like broadcast. So it's not broadcast. How do you get it to 6 seconds?
Yeah, it works. It's just hard.
Oh, I turned it on. Okay. How do you get it to say stuff? You tell them say
I took it.
Very nice, very nice.
You just typed.
I think you have to turn around so just put them upside down.
Yeah. The upside down
Oh, you
thing
did?
has to do with if you're facing different directions, you can turn.
Undo.
Okay, cool. Knock knock.
Okay.
Who's there?
Regardless.
All right, so we get to do more broadcasting.
Slow and then.
All right, so first of all, he said knock knock. You don't have to wait 2 seconds if you don't want.
Also, you guys say the same. Yeah. Okay, so
All right, so you said that, and then the squirrel said.
So, when you're actually talking about the broadcast, that's it.
Yeah, so
Okay, so the squirrel says who's there. Now he needs to broadcast a different message. Oh, and this should happen when he receives the knock. Like, you want to say who's there too soon.
then.
Oh.
Yeah.
You can make it a little bit.
Oh, no, you just. Yeah.
So now it should be like, who's there? So that way you'll know what.
Okay, and do the broadcast here.
have him say.
Very
Who's there?
nice. Excellent.
So, but that seems like.
The first time I do it.
The broadcast is letting, so this is saying that everything. It's so broadcasting this one.
It's
But
gonna
I love
start,
it. I'm gonna say that. I love it. You're gonna say that. I'm gonna let him know that the broadcast.
It's gonna start at a different background.
So
I want to
type
change
in-
from outside, he's knocking, and inside, he's not there. Someone
Okay.
else is there.
So you want to start? So what you want to do is probably when the green flag is usually when the program basically starts.
Okay.
Set your backdrop on the green flag. So
So
hit
now
that
you just-
one.
you
that-
gotta-
The first one is like this one.
So the next
Yeah.
one, you're gonna do.
So go to your scripts and go to
No,
events
go to events.
and get the green flag. And the green flag is, oh wait,
That's it.
Oh, it's like
Yeah. And then
one,
when you
it's different for
click on the
sprites, so backdrops have their own.
their own scripts, yeah.
Okay, so then,
So if you grab that green flag there and then tell it which backdrop you want at the beginning.
okay, so,
So better say like you just say, yeah. So
well, it starts out
I
with
did
the
the 2
first one.
seconds. Really
Yeah, so is that this one?
And then say.
So I want it to be when he goes up and says knock knock, it switches.
Right, but make sure it starts on the one you want,
No, it
because it's
doesn't.
gonna switch, maybe somebody like already did the program once. I wanna make sure it starts on the right one.
Okay.
Okay, all right, well, let's put a little the end at the end, right? Because that's a fun thing to do. To do the end, we're gonna actually create our own sprite by using the drawing tools, and the sprite will be the words "the end," right? So the way that you do that is you click where it says New Sprite, but instead of clicking on the little gnome creature, click on the paintbrush, and that will bring up the painting tools. There's a couple of ways we can do it. It has a text command, and so I can put text on the screen, and I can just write the end. That's a little boring. I could also draw with the paint. You know, if I'm good at drawing things, I could just write it there. That's kind of small. I can stretch it out and make it look kind of big. I can also, if I want to, I can. Oh, I think maybe I can't. I thought I could edit the color.
You can.
No, it won't let me. Yeah, but I can't get back to that one that I already did. All right, go back. This is my undo button, by the way, at the top. Or I can just hit clear, start all over. What color should it be? All right, so I've got some text that says the end. One of the things that's different, so if I'm just drawing a picture here, and that's my sprite. Sprites have one thing that's different from a regular picture. They have a center, right? Because it needs to know where is sort of the middle point of the sprite. So where's the location going to be? So there's a little thing at the corner. It looks like just sort of a crosshairs, just like that. And that allows you to set where the center should be. So I'm going to put the center right in the middle of my old text there. That's a pretty normal spot. Occasionally, you want to move your center to a different part of the sprite so that when it rotates in some other way. I don't know. There's some reasons. All right. If I wanted to get crazy, I could put like a box behind my text here. Oh, no, that's not what I want.
You get it, Tim? Yeah.
All right.
Me parece que no calienta.
All right, it's a little tricky to get used to the drawing program. Not the greatest, but you know, it's a free little program and it's already inside Scratch, so that's kind of nice. All right, so does everybody have something that sort of says the end? Or should I give you another minute? I don't want to go too fast. Yeah, lives matter. Nice.
So how many guys are running across?
Yes.
But every time that I do it, I have to reset them back.
You know, there's types of T, fix that.
Of course, there's no way to do any of that stuff. You
I'm
gotta
sure
figure out the
there
logic.
is.
I wanted my end to be my wizard attack.
Oh, excellent.
So I began to glide across and attack, but then he just basically.
Right, so you need to move them back, right? So actually, this next part will probably help with that. So if you notice, I've got the end here, but when I play the joke, I don't want the end to be there, right? It shouldn't show up until the end, right? So what I need to do is I need to make sure that the end, the sprite that I've created called the end, is hidden until the right moment. All right, so the way that you do that is you start with the green flag, because the green flag will be the beginning of the program. And you say, when the green flag is clicked, I want to make sure this is hidden. Now, hidden is under looks. So I'm just going to put this in. And this is a really common thing. A lot of your sprites will have this little script in it so that they'll just be hidden at the beginning of the program, right? So whenever it starts. And then, of course, I need to know when I should show up on the screen. So that's going to be some kind of a message, right? So I'm going to wait till I receive something called, I call this one rim shot, all right? And maybe I'll put a little weight into here. And then I want to make it show, right? So that means my the end message is going to be waiting until it gets that message at the end, and then it's going to show up. So let's try it out. I'm going to try my green flag here. It says knock knock. Who's there? Orange. Orange shoe. This is like Dixie Cup humor, right? You gotta let me in.
Wait.
And there's the end.
How'd you get the rim shot?
Oh.
Yeah, I don't.
How did the rim shot? What I did is I got a sound of a drum, and so I created a little script that says when it play the drum and the cymbal when you get the message rim shot. And so that's the same message as going to here to play the music will also tell the end message to show up. So that same message can go to two different sprites. Right.
I think I made different.
Okay, so how far do you got? Okay, so it says who's there, and then it says. Wait. Not that orange, and then you should say. The other person says orange who, and then this orange, you're gonna let me in. So it should be on this side. All right, so what you can do here is just duplicate that stack.
Well, I wanted to play the sound at the end,
Okay.
so that's gonna be.
Oh, you did have the last.
He says
last
that.
one.
Yeah, but the other person should say that.
No.
Yeah.
Who's there? Orange.
Who?
Orange shoe.
That's what you got. Yeah. All right. Uh-oh. Brownie face. This brownie face is a scratch. Yes. So yeah, so what was the last message?
Try not to hide, try to change backdrops and hide sprite. It's only sprite 2 or
There is a thing where it's like when
Yeah, but I don't know how to hide the. I got that far. I can hide it.
we could do, when backdrop switches.
Yeah, but that's what I have. And I'm like, no, I want to hide the backdrop switches. I don't know what you like hide and what. Kind of like tell what's to hide.
Well, it's on this right one, so it should be that one is on the side.
Okay. Had a moment. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
All right, that's it. Okay, so you want
That should work.
Yeah,
That was really late. Okay.
No, they're trash. Change it from now. Your mom. Now we need to show who did it. Because right now it's hidden. Okay, so let's try it. Let's see it. Excellent. How's yours? What's the last part of your book? Okay. Well, let's start playing. They both say no. Yeah. So she needs to say, I'm a move. So that's okay. So we need a message here. So it says broadcast timer. So the girl can receive the message. Okay. No, but not here though. Yes. Girl. Oh yeah, you're gonna need it. Girl.
¿Cuánto lo hiciste? Ajá. No, porque se ve diferente. Ya.
¿Es mejor con el chino o lacio?
A mí me gusta más el chino.
¿El chino? Ah, porque no, pero digo, tampoco se ve mal así con el.
Nunca te he visto así.
Bueno, se ve feo, pues. Es
Es
verdad.
como rosa.
Solo la rosa le gusta.
Well, just delete it. Just put on his, yeah, if you want to just delete it.
Okay.
Just do undo. Go to edit. If there's one
So how are we doing it? Oh, okay. Okay, does that work? Okay then, okay, so does anybody say? Yeah, let's say 2 seconds. Any broadcast move. So instead of rip shot, it's gonna receive move. Alright, yeah, so whatever your last thing is, that's how you do it. Oh, and then the other thing I was, we did so I created a new sprite, and I did it through this drawing, that's that second one. And I just used this, the text tool. Create the end.
So for our assignment to next week, we have to tell a story.
Yeah, so something real simple.
Okay.
That sounds like a good
What?
Some changes, you want us to shut it,
Sure. It could be a story like this. I'll show a couple examples.
Is the story today's assignment?
Well, we'll finish it next week. We're gonna get started today and we'll finish it next week.
It's not the same thing as the game that we have to create?
We're gonna do a story instead of a game. The problem is when I did games last time, everybody just made little quiz games and those are boring. Yeah, I mean, but you can do it on Scratch and it's kind of fun, but it's not that great. So I figured, all right, let's tell stories. Stories are fun. Yeah. Cool. Who's first?
I am first.
All right.
Very confused. So this is not.
Oh, they're both saying knock knock. Okay.
And then he says everything
He
else.
says everything. Okay. Cool. Well, we can fix that. All right. So who do you want to say knock knock?
Whichever one.
Okay. We have to pick.
Okay, this one.
Okay. The ghost will say knock knock. Okay. So he said knock knock, and he broadcasts knock knock. So now the cat.
Okay.
All right. So the cat needs to get used this one. When I see knock knock, then it should say what?
Who's there?
Who's at the end?
It should say who's there.
Okay.
All right. So put all the stuff here. So change that to who's there.
Okay, so you have to pick the whichever one is.
Right. You have to click on the square on the sprite. There in order to work on it.
I think I got it.
Okay.
This was so long.
Mom,
They were looking like.
There you go. Excellent. That's fast. Too. You say all in 1 second?
Yeah.
Okay, good. We'll have the look.
I don't know, really with my father. I don't use it.
I know Scratch. I just upgraded 90% of what I know. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, the broadcast command is really powerful.
This one.
This is different. This is way better.
Both of us actually need to fix it.
So, okay, so you saw what we did with the hide at the beginning?
Yeah.
You can also fix this position at the same time by going to motion. And there's the go-to command. So then you pick any spot on the screen. You can go
Should I do
there.
that when the little things close or should I add?
Just, yeah, the green flag, you know, just,
Which is what happened.
now, of course, that one's still gonna run across the screen.
Yeah, I don't know.
Which one?
Now, what you
I don't know.
can do.
Okay, so which one do you want to start your show?
Right, but it's this number.
Okay, so-
Is that where?
Go to the coach. You should say knock knock. And when he says knock knock,
I figured it out.
I have no
who's there? Wait 2 seconds.
You can move forward.
Broadcast, who's there?
We're going to create.
Right, so go like 5 minutes, take your steps, you can do that. Or you can do this.
You can either attack.
So,
New message, type in who's there.
You know, it's like that. Just location where you started.
who's there?
Okay, and then go back to him, and his next one should be
Orange.
orange.
So when I receive who's there, right here,
Yeah,
right?
so the who's there puts it on the
Yeah.
screen, and then broadcast tells the other
Say
sprite.
orange.
Orange.
So broadcast
And
one.
when he says orange, now see, you gotta make sure that since you put the
So you can.
Orange.
exclamation,
Uh-huh.
it's gotta say
Orange.
with the exclamation.
Exclamation. Okay.
So now we can get different
They gotta match up.
Oh,
Okay,
okay, then they're not much.
Right, this is kind of old.
okay,
Tablet.
so there you go. So go here,
Orange.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Then go back to him,
And then,
orange
so when I
two.
receive orange, well, that's formation.
There you
I'm
go.
gonna say
Orange who, and then this orange who with the question mark.
And then, okay. New message, right?
New message, and capital O. There you go. Question mark. And then this should go back here.
Then when I receive
Orange 2 with a question mark.
It's gonna say orange E, and then it's gonna broadcast orange, the same thing that says.
Yeah.
Right.
Aren't you gonna let me in?
So when he went broadcast, he needs to.
Okay, so Bill's is putting a message.
Question mark. Okay. Now let's see if it works.
That's not good. You need to broadcast message one. Start.
No, I know.
There's nothing else to put
Yeah, so there's just gonna be a series of
Okay.
say.
And then see on this one right here, because you have your and up the whole time. So go here, not when clicked, do hide,
So when I receive it, the sound goes.
hide, and then if I remember correctly, I did when receive some things. I think
So when,
All right, how many people have a working
when I
non joke?
receive,
About
Aren't you
2/3.
gonna let me
Now you're
do
gonna
a question mark? Then you
I was trying to
unhide
get it to like
and you
rotate.
show.
Oh, rotate? Yeah, I could do a little shimmy.
And let's see if it works.
Okay, the problem is it's doing that so fast you don't even see it. It's going that way to now.
I'll get to wait.
Oh, so you
You
have
need to
to
slow it
wait.
down a little bit, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And it's only doing it one time.
okay, so it's like a puzzle, right?
Yeah,
It's like a puzzle.
and then if you wanted to, he's the one that ends the joke, right? Aren't you gonna let me in? So you can go down here
And things are right.
and you can say when receive,
After I have my little.
aren't you gonna let me in?
Yeah.
You can do sound
Normally
when
it's
the
gonna be
human,
and then after some
female
it's
ad.
gonna show.
Yeah.
You can do, go back to script,
It's an event.
sound, play.
When this is. And then go back to.
And then you can even go back to this because now you've added another step. So you go to this and you say receive.
Go back to events.
When I receive, I'm gonna receive. So when I
Oh, you
receive
can
the
have-
lab, right?
Yeah,
No, no,
you can
yeah.
say when you
So who's the
receive.
last one that says that?
The sound.
Did I not see? Okay.
Oh, no. Take this off. And when you receive
Yeah, so we'll do it.
the sound again.
Okay, let me show you a couple things about Scratch. We can keep working on our games, and at some point or our jokes. Any questions, things that you were wondering about with this so far? Some people noticed that if they were playing around with the rotation, that if you have your cat and it can rotate, so like if you have this command here that says rotate, and it rotates a bunch, then it gets upside down. That's really irritating, right? And some people don't like the cat to be upside down ever. When you click on the sprite, you notice there's this blue eye that shows up right here. If you click on this blue eye, it gives you the ability to change some things about your sprite. Like one of them is something called its rotation style. So if you don't want it to go upside down, you just change that rotation style, and it will stay upright. It will turn left and right, but it won't ever rotate sideways. Well, you can also change the name of it, and you can play around with it, and you can allow someone to drag it or not drag it into the script. So that's the sprite information there. If you ever want to change the name of your sprite, you just go ahead and type something there, and it will fix it. See, it works every time. Okay. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I can tell you here. So if you really like your joke and you want to share it with the world and you want to add your creation to the 9 million other things that are on there, I didn't say they were all good, by the way. A lot of them are like this. They're just beginner stuff. Some of them are very good, but a lot of them are not. All you have to do is click the share button. And if you haven't clicked on the thing in your email, it won't let you do this yet. But if you're ready, you can go ahead and share it. That takes you to this page, which is this is my page about the project. And I can write things like, click the green flag, because that's pretty much all you have to do. But you don't even really need to type, because everybody in Scratch knows to click the green flag. You can add credits and add project tags. And this is where people can come and they can now comment on your sprite, or they can remix it. So there's this little girl in the 2nd grade, and she was super excited. Somebody remixed one of her programs. She was all pumped. And so just some random person on the internet just decided to remix it. So that was really fun. Anyway, so probably no one's going to remix this one. This is really boring. But it's there. If you want to then go and see all the stuff that you've created, you can go up to your name at the top and go down to where it says My Stuff. And so you'll see all of your stuff that's been created. So there's the one I just made. One of these is shared. This one's been shared. This one has not been shared, so you can see it doesn't have all that information on it. So a lot of these have not been shared. This one is something I think I copied from somebody. How do you copy again? If I want to copy somebody else's stuff, there's actually 2 different ways to do that. Remember, I could go and search for, let's see. No, that was too much stuff. All right, so if I do a search on here for volleyball, let's say I really like volleyball. I see there's a bunch of volleyball games already on Scratch. And it's like, oh, I really like this game. What can I do if I really like this game? I can play it, right? I can rate it, say that it's my favorite. You know, I can look inside and see how they did it. Ooh. Oh, there we go. The arrow keys. Oh, I lose. Yeah, it's 2-player game. Oh no, I'm not very good at this. Anyway, so you can see, oh, this is a fun little game. If I want to take a copy of it, I can go to see inside, and then there's this magic remix button. That will make a copy of that game. I get all of their scripts, I get all their costumes, I get all their sounds that they have created, and now it's in my account, and I can do anything I want with it. I've remixed it. If I don't want the whole game, and I'm like, you know, I just really like that ball. That's a great ball. There's something at the bottom that's called your backpack. You might not even have noticed it. Your backpack is a place where you can just grab things and stick it in your backpack for later use. So I take that ball and stick it in my backpack, and now when I build my own games, I can just use that sprite. Or I can take a script. Somebody's figured out some cool script to be able to do something interesting. I just grab that script, and I can use that later. So it allows me to be constantly building off what other people have done and not having to reinvent the wheel. And I can learn from checking out other people's programs.
How do you tell a sprite to start at XY coordinate?
Yeah, well, here's an example of that right here. So you can see what they did. When the green flag is clicked, they have this go to. That means that right at the beginning of the game, you're going to be right at that location.
It says go to XY coordinate.
Right, so it's put the numbers for where it wants to be. So, and you'll notice that's exactly where it is. So this always tells you the location of your sprite. Yeah.
David has a question.
David has a question. Excellent. David, go ahead. Can you hear me?
Oh, were we just supposed to be making like the joke, or are we supposed to start like another project?
Oh yeah, we're gonna start the next project. Yeah, so the assignment, that's a good segue, David. Thank you very much. The assignment that we have is to basically says come up with tell a story in Scratch using multiple sprites and backgrounds. And I really want this to be totally open-ended. If you hate Scratch, like the simplest possible story you can think of. If you really like Scratch, you can go to town. You can find some stories that are already on there and modify them, or you can just create your own from scratch. Right? There's a lot of Scratch jokes, and all kinds of things. I put some links to some really fun things that other people have built that can give you some ideas. Let's see. Some of these are old. Hopefully, they're all still working. Most of the old stuff on Scratch still works. That's the beauty of Scratch. This is a little story that somebody decided to tell called "Time's Up." It's about how exciting school is. How do you think they did this?
Time's up.
Look, and there's credits and everything.
Woo! It was just a dream. Wake up, sweetie. Your big tests are today, remember? Yeah.
So you can see it. You can see the creativity that they did there. There's a couple of other ones. The Lord of the Flies one is really awesome. If you want to check it out, they did the entire Lord of the Flies book as a story. It must have taken forever. Some British kids, they got the accent. Anyway, so that's cool. If you want to, there's some math stuff here. There's people that have created calculators. Oh, I guess that link doesn't work anymore. Let's see if the motion graph still works. Yeah, so there's a lot of graphing stuff that you can do in Scratch. There's cool math programs. There's a lot of historical events that people have reenacted. Let's see, graph from, I have no idea what I'm doing here. I didn't read the instructions. Oh, I see. So it's giving me velocity versus time. So this is a position versus time graph, and it will adjust the velocity or the slope. Ah, nice. All right. Anyway, so you can see some examples of things like that. What was the Yorktown one? The Battle of Yorktown. Recreated on Scratch. So anyway, so if you see something on there in Scratch tradition, feel free to use it. There's no plagiarism on this assignment. Go ahead and borrow something somebody else did, make it better, do some improvements on it, add your own touches to it, and that'll be great. Press space to start. Press A to attack at the flank. Oh, I see. This is a game. I get to be the British or the French in Yorktown. I don't know. Who wins in Yorktown? I don't remember that war. All right.
It's America.
Oh, yeah. Ah, see, I don't know these things. Okay.
We'll forgive you.
So does everybody have a sense? It's a very wide open assignment. Spend a little bit of time working on it. We can finish up our stuff on next week in class. I'm assuming you'll all have questions about how do I do this, how do I do that, and I'll be here to help. And so next week we'll all figure out how to we'll share all our games so we can see what everybody else has done. If you want to see what people did last year on this assignment, you can see this link at the next week. It says Scratch Studio. A studio is Scratch's way of basically collecting a bunch of scratches together. And so I set up a studio for 514, and so you can see what people have done in the past. There's a lot of driving games, because that was one of the examples we did that year, was the driving game. Math Race Remix. Journey Through, I'm not sure what that is. Fishbowl. What's this one? What's wrong with the image? All the things that do not make sense with this image. I don't know what this does. I'm not very good at reading instructions.
You need to make a list of all the things that do not make sense in the image.
Okay, that's interesting. All right, anyway, so you can see what other people have done with this assignment in the past. The driving game's fun. I think we'll start with the driving game next week so you can see how to do driving, because that's a lot of fun. And it doesn't take very long. Cool. All right, so it's about 6 o'clock. We can hang out here and play with Scratch stuff, or we can continue next week, however you want to do it. If you want a particular picture in Scratch, how do you get it in there? Yeah, you need to go to you go to your. I'm gonna pull up my my Scratch again and just do a quick example of this. So if I go to my program, so I go back to my program, I have to click See Inside in order to edit it. So if I've got a picture, where can I find pictures? All right. If I go to Google, and if I just go to Google Images, I can find all kinds of pictures. So let's say what I need. I'll just get a walrus, right? There you go. All right. So I'm going to take this walrus. One of the things you have to do is you have to download it to your computer first, and then you can upload it to Scratch
from your computer.
From your computer, exactly right. And so save image as. And it's going to go into the downloads folder. Now, if I go back to my Scratch, I can say upload. So there's a little upload button.
Oh, wow.
So I can upload any picture off of any picture I can imagine. Like that. So now I have a walrus in my game and I can play around with my. So any picture you want, that can be part of your thing. Figure out what story you want to tell. It can be a nursery rhyme. It can be a cautionary tale of what happens in science lab if you don't listen to the teacher. It can be something that your students are going to read, right? It can be House on Mango Street, whatever the subject is. Just imagine what you do, and you can look on the Scratch website, see if somebody else has already started something that you can build from, or just create your own like that. If you want to do really fancy animations, and if you search around the Scratch site, you'll see some pretty cool animations. There's this whole. Let me go back to my wall, my Google Images. If you want something to be animated, there are all these things called sprite sheets. And sprite is not a unique word for something. So all these things, people have created all these little animated characters, and all you have to do is you have to go into Scratch and you separate them into different costumes. And the other thing you have to do is you have to make sure they all have the same center, right? So when you switch from one costume to the other, it doesn't look strange. But people have already created all these cool animations. So what is it? Who is this guy? I don't know. I don't recognize that. Alien running. Sure. So you can have an alien running around your game. And this is not too hard to do. You just get this. You get what's called the sprite sheet, and you upload it into Scratch, and then you just separate it into a bunch of good little costumes, and you just create a separate costume for each one of those scenes, and you delete the background because you don't need the background. An even easier way to do animation is to look for animated GIFs. Right? So you guys have seen these little GIFs before, right? Yeah, David?
How do you go from one background and then you want it to change like to a different background?
Yeah, your background, you can put scripts right in your background, just like you would in any sprite, and they can change backgrounds by getting a message or any kind of event you want. So an animated GIF looks a little bit like this. All right, here we are. Oh, is it gonna play? It's not playing. That's no fun. Oh, there we go. So animated GIFs look like this, right? Bless you. So if I want this in Scratch, all I have to do is do like I would with any normal picture and just do save image as banana, right? And Scratch is very smart with the animated GIFs. If I upload this animated GIF, the banana, it's going to figure out that that GIF is animated. And now if I go to my costumes, I created separate costumes for each phase of the thing, right? So you can see my banana can now dance, right? What would the script be? Oh, look, I've got a background on just one of them. You probably can't tell that. So this sprite doesn't have a background, but this sprite does. Scratch has a very cool feature. You know the paint bucket tool, right? So I could paint. I can get the paint bucket tool, and I can paint. There's a color right here that looks like a red slash. That's invisible. Basically, erase. So I can erase everything white just by clicking with the paint bucket, and that red stripe, boom, background is gone. Scratch is like the only program I know that does that. It's really cool. Anyway, so now I've got my banana here, and if I just create a real simple script, what would my script look like to show that animation? Need
wait like 1 second.
Yeah, something like that. So yeah, probably need a wait command in there too. Okay, so I just do a real simple script like this to show the next costume, and then if I hit the space bar, all of a sudden I got a cool dancing banana. And that will work with any animated GIF, and there's thousands of animated GIFs on the internet. You can search for anything you want, and then you can get a little animation. Yeah.
Can I make them talk and
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Multiple things can be happening simultaneously, right? Oh, sure. So if I wanted to play some music, maybe I could have a green flag going here, and I can play. Let's see. I need some. Let's see. I could change. I'll just grab some sound here. Okay, what's that one? Perfect. All right, just what I want. So I could just play this sound until done, and I can also put that into a repeat. So this is going to just play forever. Okay, so if I click the green flag, press the space bar. Yeah. So the sound's going to go out for a certain amount of time, but if I have this forever loop, it'll just keep looping. Sorry about that. All right, let me turn that off. All right, cool. All right, so those are some of the tricks. Those are completely optional. If you're not interested in doing any animation in your thing, just ignore that whole thing. But it's fun to play with some of these things like the sprite sheets and the animated GIFs. Is it GIFs or GIFs? I always get that confused.
The creator wants to be GIF.
Okay, I like it.
Oh, I see.
Animated GIFs. Yeah. So think about what your story's going to be. See if you can find some cool graphics and upload them. And then we'll figure out the scripts next week if you get confused on that. But just play around with it. You can learn a lot just by going on Scratch and searching on what other people have done and looking inside their projects, see what they've done. If you want to see something really sophisticated, check out all the Minecraft stuff. I mean, Minecraft is a pretty sophisticated program. Oh, that's not how you spell it. There we go, Minecraft. Minecraft is a pretty sophisticated program, and by remixing stuff, this one's been remixed 12,000 times. They have actually created an almost completely working version in Scratch, which is kind of amazing. There's like a gazillion scripts on this thing, and this is pretty much the most advanced version of Minecraft. This is version 11. They update it like every couple of weeks. Like just these kids that are out there. I mean, they've already got Minecraft. They could be playing it all day, but instead they're recreating Minecraft in Scratch. Just because. Yeah. Cool. All right. Trying to think. Is there anything I'm forgetting here? Oh, I showed you where the studio was, so you could see all other people's stuff. And so next week we'll add our stuff to the studios. What? Where the studio
you're
is?
talking about on your server.
The
studio on your.
It's on my account on Scratch, but it's not. But yeah, on the class webpage there's a link.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Other questions about the class? How about those lesson plans? Did anybody get started on the lesson plan? That's someone. All right. Cool. So your lesson plan is due when? May 12th. All right. So you've got that to do. Remember, you're going to have at least a couple of different types of technology in there. You can reuse some old lesson plans, or you can create some new. Make it nice and cool. All right. It's not working at all. Wow. Something's really unhappy. Cool. All right, and you will get comments from me on your other work, and so you'll see if you need to revise anything. Those will also be due on the 12th. Yep. Nope. Sure, totally. Happy to let you. Yeah. No final exam in this class. Your work stands for itself. And so pretty much if you get all your assignments in and you've got all the parts done, I'm assuming I can give everybody an A. So that'll be fun. I like to do that whenever possible. So try to get all your stuff in. Check and see to make sure you've submitted everything to your assignments. Check your grade next week to make sure you've got a grade on everything.
Lesson plan, how perfect does it have to be?
Perfect? What's a perfect lesson plan? I have no idea what that is.
Include all the fact links and what standard is that and what evaluation sample.
No. The key is how you're integrating the technology. The rest of that stuff is good, but the essential part is putting the technology in.
Because I have this difficulty with what I teach to find the right standard.
Use technology. Oh, okay, cool.
So which standard is it?
What do you want to teach?
Not all of them are there.
What are you going to teach? So if it's technology stuff, you can use the nets. You know the nets?
Should I resubmit all of my names for the last point?
Those are
Sexy show.
or if there's a California standard that applies, that's good. All right. So who needs help with something with Scratch or a lesson plan or something?
No, I got it now. It's just that I was confused between like switching from one right to the other one and then it took me a while.
Yeah, it's just a big puzzle.
Yeah. But it's fun.
It's cool. I think I might play with it a little bit.
So did I.
I think I might play with it a little bit. Well, I'm hoping one of my friends is down this weekend who's a computer programmer.
Should I
He's going to hopefully help me with the website.
You can resubmit anything if you want. Yeah, you just gotta do that.
Well, let's try it. Let's do
Oh wait, I don't know. What is this one? Dude, did you play that stupid game?
I
Yeah.
You can't win.
I hate
And
that.
the only winning move is not to play.
I hate that game.
Someone's gonna die. You gotta set game. Who's gonna die? That's what I care about.
I don't want anyone to die.
I'm sorry.
Well,
How do you upload?
so you can share. This is part of it. We'll do that in practice. You're welcome to share it. So, yeah, so I would start with the new one. So maybe you still have that one. Yeah, and everything will be on your account. So stored in cloud.
I don't know.
All right, David, you need some cough drops.
No, I'm so done.
If the
I'm gonna turn off my scare here.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Can it be like our new project the same, like as simple as the other knock knock ones?
Sorry, say that one more time.
Can our project or what we're doing right now be as simple as the knock knock joke, kind of?
Sure, yeah, you could do something like that. It doesn't need to be really fancy. Just as long as it works and you got the instructions and everything all set, that sounds fine.
Okay.
Okay. Check out. There's a lot of cool math stuff on there.
Yeah.
Hey, so David, you're doing math student teaching.
Yeah.
You're doing it right now, or are you gonna do it next semester?
Student teach. I'm not gonna do it till like year after that, because I'm doing a JYI. I'm doing it like together.
Oh, that's right.
So yeah.
That's why
I'm not even teaching credentials.
I was working on all the math student teacher placements, and I didn't see you on there. That's why. Okay.
Yeah, no, but you said you were gonna tell me about something.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I wonder if you can apply as GI. So there's something called the Noise Fellowship. I think it's too late for this year, but I'll send the link to you for next year. And you can get, basically, it's a fellowship, and you can get paid while you're an undergrad and then while you're in your credential program. I think it gives you $10,000 a year, but then you owe teaching in high need schools. Of course, all the schools around here are high need, so that's pretty easy.
Okay.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Well, anyway, I'll send you the link to it.
Oh my god.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Here, let's see what it is.
Because we suck.
Yeah, that's the answer.
As much as we say we don't, we do.
Oh, no, we do. Yeah.
Do you have a class
There.
tonight?
No, though that class is done. Now I can start grading. Well, that's because they had to turn in their theses. All right, so David, I'm putting. Do you see the comments there? Oh, I don't see the comments. Oh, there we are. All right. Oh, how do you right click on a Mac? You can do the control click. That's what I usually do. All right. So did you see a link I just put in the chat?
Yeah.
All right. That's the link for the Noise Fellowship program. So check it out. And I'm trying to remember what they said about JYI. If JYI is, I think it's I think we have a JY person in there now, so you should be eligible. Unfortunately, I think it's the deadline's passed for this year. We can ask and see if we can get another application in though, because we haven't interviewed people yet.
Nice.
Send me an email if you want me to check on that, and I'll check and I'll ask the person in charge to see if we can get another application in.
And what do I have to do exactly?
Not too much. We do like monthly meetings, but essentially you're basically just promising to be a teacher, and that. But there are some like little extra classes, but it's not a very heavy commitment. And then you get option. You get. I think last year people went to JPL and they went to the observatory, and they did the Pi Day. Just little things like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so check it out. Tell me what you think.
Okay, we'll do. Thank you, Professor.
All right. Have a good week. Feel better.
All right. Thank you.